Moving to oneness. Nourishing curiosity. Embracing differences. Becoming one.
Nature is the most beautiful designer we have in this world. But today I have a special guest that will support you in looking at the design you can create in your life to uplift yourself and the life of your family. So do stay tuned to this wonderful, I think, and fascinating guest all the way from Tennessee. Hello, everyone. I'm Amailin Elke. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I have here with me a fantastic artist, and you all are very creative. And Jeff Garner, you are a movie director. You've created documentary movies. You see the beauty of the world, and that's going to be my interest in hearing the most about this. And also, you love color. You see color different in the world, I think, than most people. You see all of the facets, the wider array, and how colors can be created. And you put that then into your fashion designs. So thank you. I'm very honored that you're bringing your amazing energy and your vision for us as human beings and for nature, the vision of our future to us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, yes, I saw you not long, maybe half a year ago already on Instagram for the first time. I didn't know about you. But what I noticed right away, you're a man in my eyes that walks his talk and talks his walk. That is very seldom to be found, I think, and you're a big inspiration for that. Share a little bit how, because we're going to talk a little bit about the movie, the upcoming documentary, Let Them Be Naked, that's coming out in a few days. And everyone, do go and look at it. You will learn so much and you will see your life a little different. But how did you get to see the beauty of the world and how you can use nature's material to create clothing?
Love that question and the focus. Yeah, I grew up, and I'm currently at my farm in Tennessee. I grew up on a farm, always been on a farm. So early on, I learned the pleasures and beauty of living in nature. I used to go out with my dog, and I would go in the woods for 2 weeks and just kind of not survive, but live off the land as a young kid, 9, 10 years old. And, it was just a way of being. And then I had horses. I would travel out in the woods as well. And you kind of shed the, modern day world when you do that. And you learn different sensitivities. So, my friends make fun of me, but I can sense weather and I can kind of predict it almost to a T. There's certain patterns you see in insects and foliage and plants, and you just start tuning into the rhythms. And I've never ventured far from that. I've always, people again make fun of me a lot, but I'll
No.
pop into New York City for like 2 days and I would spend half the day walking Central Park because I need that energy to offset the other energy. And I believe in that. I believe constant exposure causes acceptance. And I think we live in a society that doesn't do enough nature. And so early on, yeah, when I started designing for bands and musicians out of Nashville, because it's a hub, and those were
Yes.
all my creative artsy friends. Um, started learning that all these toxicities in the production, and I was learning about Plastisol inks, how they print their band T-shirts and all that. I was like, and I saw these young guys with masks around the dryers,
Mm.
and I saw them breaking out, and I smelled the smells, and it was like the Lorax. I could just smell the chemicals in the factory, and I said, this isn't healthy for us or the planet. So early on, at the very beginning of my career, I said, well, I either got to learn how to do it differently or stop doing it. And then I learned about plant dyes, and I just kind of played and did chemistry. And my grandfather was an amazing chemist for the Manhattan Project in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So he learned, he taught me how to analyze things and how to dissect things and how to, make your own kind of ingredient list and recipes, let's call it. So that's what led me down the path.
Wow, yeah, I can see you a little bit just wandering in the woods and learning about it. Really, you said the rhythm. It's for me, it's like you're in a song. You can hear the song of nature, right?
Hmm.
Because you also felt comfortable. Do plants show themselves also to you and say, "Try me for a dye"?
Um, yeah, I mean that's the curiosity, I love using barks. The tannins are so rich. So, like, for example, I have 44 acres and most of it's woodland. So if a tree falls, I want to use all aspects of it. So obviously the nature comes and grabs it and puts it back into the ground, and ants and animals habitat it, and there's all that. But I take the bark and I'll test it with the dyes and figure out what tannins are in it, because it's spent all these years collecting. And the beauty of plant dyes, I try to tell everyone, is the luminosity.
Yes.
So obviously everyone knows about chlorophyll and think about all those years of just the sun and the energy and the collection. So the luminosity reads differently, like on film or on a photo shoot, and the models get it when they wear it. It just feels different. It looks different to the eye. And to me, I think that's a lost art form. So that's
Mm.
why I really enjoy doing it, to get these colors like I'm wearing now out of plants is just amazing. And
Yeah, it's like a collaboration and it's a vibrancy. A vibrancy, I would say, that's like a tingle
mm,
within you. And it's also medicine. It's medicine for us because we go in relate with a plant and they provide comfort or information or even nutrition to
mhm.
us, which artificial material cannot do, I think, or I should say I have not experienced that. I understand you a little bit, Jeff, because through a big fire, I stopped where all my artwork was destroyed. Few years later, then after I was devastated, I started painting again, and I only could start painting with plant pigments and
Yeah,
watercolor.
yeah,
For
yeah,
before, I had big collages of torn, first acrylic, then handmade paper, and then oil and other materials on it.
yeah.
And exactly that I wrote about recently. It is this vibrancy. You go in the communication, you go into the water. They give you creativity. They make me feel good. It smells different. There is a smell. It's like a perfume, not perfume. Yeah, it is. It's enlivening.
Hmm.
And I think clothes, what you're talking about, is the same. I did do some research. I looked what is in our area, and there was a woman now in Bavaria, south of me. She
Hmm.
started looking around 50 different plants. She started using that she found around her lake, even using the shelf that grows in the water, the seeds out of it, and so many beautiful greens and so many I don't know. She had 20 different greens. She puts
Amazing.
different cloth material. You do work, I think, with a lot with hemp. She did a
Hmm.
lot of different natural fabrics in there, and each fabric turned out in a different color. And I thought,
Yeah.
that is so beautiful, and it all touched the heart. And I also think your art, the film, but also your clothes, even your film is a really important and maybe not an easy topic to look at or put your attention on.
Mhm.
But for when I look at your fashion and the medicine, because it's also natural fiber and it speaks with the models and where you place it in what kind of settings you juxtapose it in, it
Mhm.
gives this graciousness back to the women I have seen wear them. There is a lightness that I think your clothes give these women and men.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously when you break it down, the toxins that are in the synthetic dyes or are just they're designed in a laboratory, and unfortunately the ingredients of those are designed to
Mm.
kill them. And plants or, are bring life, as you say. And yeah, I believe the body, obviously we talk about in the film and in the book, there's been this undisclosed concept that what we put on our skin, because we were designed to be nude, and hence the title of the book, Let Them Be Naked.
Yes.
It's better to be nude than dressed in
I love
synthetic.
it.
So funny. My producer's like, that's a working title, right? I'm like, no, that's the
Mhm.
title. Um, but I wanted to get that idea across because everything we put on our skin there's an absorbency through the epidermis of the skin. And from all the peer-reviewed studies, it averages about 37%. So if you put paint on your arm, whatever's in that paint will go into
Go.
your skin through the hair follicles into your bloodstream. Same with clothing. But there's a misconception that clothing, whatever the chemicals that are on the clothing, just stay in the clothing. And we know for a fact that's not true because you can just easily test your laundry water and you can discover the chemicals that come off of it. And then there's this rumor that was circulated through the industry saying that, oh, you just take your new clothing home and you wash it once or twice, and that washes out those, they call them the manufacturing chemicals. And like, no, it does shed, but those chemicals are designed to stay in the product, to keep that color in the product. Otherwise, that color would run out.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing with the film and the book, is getting people to understand here's synthetic made, laboratory, fabrication and dyes. And it's good for convenience. It keeps your price point down, but to a untrue cost because it's not feasible to produce in that capacity anymore. I mean, you're paying $7 for a t-shirt that you paid for in the 70s, but fuel, petrol, food, hotels, coffee, everything's gone up in price except clothing. So we have to correct that. We need
Yes,
to
I think
bring the
so too.
pricing of clothing up so that we can now make clothing out of natural materials and dyes and give that option so people, when they see a hemp t-shirt for $45, they're not thinking they're getting raw, because that is a true cost of that fabric that's being made and that dye that's been handmade. So, it's something I have to kind of mention every time because they think that if we move plant-based dyes and fabrics forward in production, that they're not going to be able to afford clothing. And it's a more conscious decision. So you buy pieces that will last in your wardrobe, and I still wear riding pants. 12 years ago, I ride horses. I have horses every day and I work in them. I'm on my tractor. Like I travel in them, not one hole for 12 years, and they're made of hemp.
Yeah.
And I can't say that about any, and I haven't bought clothing in years, but the tensile strength of hemp is amazing. So, they call it biomimicry. So everything that was produced in the laboratory, so like nylon is a mimic of silk, polyester is a mimic of hemp. So I think using the natural form is a lot better, and a lot of times people don't understand, these companies just want to own the product. They want to mix polyester with an additive, of some oil that keeps it from being moldy, and then they call it a name, and then that becomes a new fabric that they own and can sell and make all that money from. So it's a vicious circle of this chemical industry and the fashion industry to keep that thing going forward. Um, and if we could grow our own plants and make our own fabric and make our own dyes, well, it keeps us off the codependent wagon, and it would obviously upset some of that money that's going in. But I think, they did a study, and we have enough clothing produced right now in the world to clothe us for another 50 years, every human.
Surplus.
So we don't need to make more. We need to, slow everything down and make smarter clothing. And and so that's where we are.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. I spoke also with my son's generation. They at least they don't buy so often clothes
Mm.
anymore, or at least they repurpose it and make a different cut out of it. I
Yeah.
forgot the name, what it's called. They look for organic more, especially underwear. I know you create underwear. It's so important because it touches us. Also, as we hear more in the spiritual community, or I would say there's so many people that maybe don't know that they're so spiritual, but they're very sensitive, and they don't know then why they're getting sick. Clothing scratches on their body. They feel out of place because they can't talk about it because clothing should be soft and what, right? They feel displaced. And
Mm.
there would be a solution for many, many. So even I can't, it has to be soft. I love natural products. It has to, because it's our second skin, and the world wants to be unique, Jeff, right? Everyone said, oh, I want to, yeah, but we have to start maybe in creating our own color for a certain shirt, or maybe going back like my mother's generation when she was younger, they were still sewing their clothes. Who still knows how to sew? So there's also going, we're losing the crafts. I do
Yeah.
have to tell you another story. I saw that a few years ago. Because you're a surfer, you will love this. There's a French surfer, Vincent Latissens, I think, and he decided to create hemp again and get hemp seed peeling machines from India, the first one he had to get, and started the way to create surfing clothing organically out of hemp. But then also he said, I wanted to grow it here. So he's talked with farmers, and they tried it out, an acre here, an acre there.
Hmm.
And because they were also noticing the climate is changing, hemp is helping the sustainability. When they have corn for fuel or other things feeding the pigs, it
Hmm.
needs so much water, and hemp does not need water to grow. And so
Right.
he created change. It's an education. And the interesting part then also that came out, that area in France was very well known for fabric, how to creating beauty, and I think that's where we are bringing back the beauty in everything, in an impeccable act, in whatever we do. And there were no women anymore who knew how really to sew
Wow.
and do all of these arts and crafts. So, but they started back at teaching or doing also organic coloring. But then they said the same as you. They can do 70 kilos a day with organic coloring and dyes,
Hmm.
and it gets more expensive. But I think we have a chance.
Yeah.
Because if they look at the big picture, everyone wants change, it may happen. So why is it so
Definitely.
dangerous? Tell a little bit more about the danger to
To wearing
pills
it.
in a way.
Yeah.
You-
So I'll just sum it up. So there's, it's a concoction of obviously cheap ingredients to make it so cheap and affordable and also performance wise. So, you have formaldehyde in those dyes that help set it. You have heavy metals as well to help set it. The fabrications themselves are very, polyester obviously is as people are saying now on the internet. I love it. You're wearing plastic. Um, but it's non-permeable in nature, so that obviously doesn't allow anything to pass. So your body's lymphatic system, for example, think about a nylon, a polyester bra, it's not going to allow any breathability. So your body's design, lymphatic system is designed to move out the toxins. So when you have a 37% absorption rate going into your breast, your body receives it like an estrogen. It sees it as an alien. It grabs it, sticks it in the fatty tissues to store it so it doesn't go throughout your body. Okay, so but the lymphatic system is supposed to come through and clean that out. When it's constricted by straps of a bra or the pressure of a bra, it's like a little tiny hose. Any type of pressure collapses it so it doesn't flow. And then it's not like your circulatory system of your blood vessels with a heart that pumps the blood. There's no pump mechanism. So therefore it operates by movement only. So like that watch that gets wound up by movement, that's kind of how it works. So without the movement of the breast, it's not allowing that action to take place. So, that's one example of an issue we have with the design of the clothing and what's in it. So it's basically acts like a greenhouse for breast cancer because you can't move out those toxins. Your body receives it as an estrogen. That's why now they're saying breast cancer is estrogen related. So your cells start mutating, and then there's nothing, then it doesn't attack them in time, and then they start escalating, and it. So it depends. Obviously, there's so many variables involved, and it depends on your DNA structure, and you as a healthy person. So not everyone will get it, but we're seeing the numbers rise and rise and rise because women since World War II have been wearing bras more and even they wear them to bed, and your body gets no break. So imagine, I'll show you guys this.
Yes, please.
I just did socks because I couldn't find one pair of socks in the world that did not have nylon in it because every single industry standard is even if it's organic and natural sock, they thread it with the 10% nylon. So they have a small thread of nylon and they wrap the natural around it. So I finally did my own socks
Oh,
here.
wonderful. Thank
So
you.
this is how 75% alpaca and 25% wool. There's no nylon in this. And I, knit it in a way that it naturally stretches there by the weave, and I've been testing them and they don't hold smells, they stay up, they hold body temperature, they don't sweat. Um, so it's these type of things that we need to solve, and we can solve it. And literally, my friend's alpaca farm, we take it, we walk it across the street, and we knit it. And it's that
Regional.
perfect
Yeah,
of a
close.
close, and so that's a perfect example of it can be done, and obviously we did like 300 units, and we're going to make more, but it depends on the alpaca. But we can get other alpaca farmers in, and then there you grow it based on the need. But again, it's two part. We need to slow down the consumption. So if you bought stocks, you don't need 10 of these. You need three of them. You know, Same with my hemp boxers. I tell all my guy friends, you only need three. Throw all, recycle all your other ones. You only need, and they're like, Jeff, are you sure I want to change a boxer a day? I'm like, no, you can wear one boxer for a week straight because it breathes, doesn't hold smells, it's antifungal, antibacterial naturally. There's nothing clogging the pores. And once you go back to natural, you understand how they behave and work. It's going to obviously keep you from buying too much. You don't have to wash it every time. So part of the industry, part of the fashion industry, people aren't looking at is the number one. They say it's like number two as far as being, pollutant to the world. It's because of the washing. You wear a synthetic yoga
Mm.
pant to work out in, you take it home, throw it in the laundry, you wash it immediately. So you're constantly washing. And, with natural fibers, and you can do, I tell everyone, we'll do a smell test. Have your partner smell your boxers, smell your socks. And they all come back and say, you're right.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
breathes,
yeah.
you know. So, if you think about back in the day, we only had one or two outfits. They had those small little trunks they traveled with. Most people just had an undershirt they changed out and they wore the top layers. They had the same socks, same underwear made of wool typically. So we know, obviously, well, they were like, what smelled more back then? But, I don't know. I've never worn deodorant. Nobody
Yeah,
tells me.
no, no, it's
Smell.
also how you
Yeah.
eat with all these things. Like
Yeah, it's
it's a
all
big
the combination.
circle how it
Yeah.
comes together,
Yeah.
and it's already known. It also makes you happier. They
It
did
does.
100 years ago or longer. They did tests of how people react to what they wear and if it's breathable. So here in the mountains, we have more cold weather.
Hmm.
Wool is very important if it's now from sheep or alpaca, um,
Hmm.
because it can get wet, especially everyone for your children. It's so
Yeah, yeah.
important. Then they don't get cold feet and they can go and run in the snow. It doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
it
yeah.
it. It's important, and I think people, we don't
Okay.
know about it. We don't read about it um,
We don't know. I mean,
enough.
unless you're in my field, you don't know the behaviors of fabric. And to be honest, even the young designers, they're not being taught how fibers behave. But for example, in the film, we cover wool in New Zealand and
Mhm.
everything. But one of the things we didn't show in the film, which is in an outtake, there's a brand called Icebreaker. And the creative director and I, he was in his wool boxers, I was in my hemp boxers. We both jump into in Stabio, like in Switzerland, we jump into the river there. It's freezing cold,
Oof.
December, and we get out and we have a thermal camera and we do the air temp, and then we do his boxers, my boxers. His boxers hold the temperature, and it's because it's wool. My boxers dropped a little bit, and then we had a polyester boxer that just went, negative, right? So it's interesting to show wool does really hold its consistent temperature, even wet. But yeah, people understand that it'd be, yeah, they would see it differently.
Yeah, and I don't know, I have not seen your film. I just saw the trailer, but it also shows how it pollutes our earth. It pollutes our waters, and I'm talking about rivers and in big amounts. It's not just like a trickle, because the
Mm.
industry nowadays has big buckets
Oh yeah,
of whatever. It's not like a little bakery or little
yeah.
uh,
Nope.
um, Färberei,
Yeah, it's
a dye company, right? Where you have a little bit, it's now in big, so it kills off a whole river or the creeks. It goes into the ocean, and that is also a big pollutant. And the less we can buy these things, the better, and really start.
yeah.
You have the power. That's why I want to get people have the power. We have
Mm.
buying power. It's slow, but it
Yeah.
gets a momentum. We choose.
Yeah, it's intensive, and that's why I focused the film and the book about us,
Mhm.
our human body. We have one body in this lifetime, and if they understand, people understand what they put on their bodies goes into their bodies and affects their own personal health. Then the afterthought is the manufacturing industry that's we've heard about, everyone's heard about how how that drives pollution in the Pearl River in China and all that stuff. And the dyes are awful, super intensive, great test at home, which I don't advise everyone to do. But if you're questioning it, if you ever are painting, have a painting project, take your brush and put it in an outside, like water pail and just see one little trickle of that paint, how quickly it spreads to that water. And it doesn't wash away, it doesn't go away. And that is a small, minute amount of the dye water that's being dumped. And I can describe it like this. When you dye with plants, you have a vat. You have your recipe, you start it, you dip product in, you pull it out, it extracts some of the dyes. So you as a creator and a scientist, etc., you have to like recharge your dye vat, but you never dump it. You just recharge it with that dye, whether you're using marigold flowers or barks, and then you can keep dyeing. And in the synthetic industry, what they do, they dump the dye, and then they redo the new recipe, and then they dump it, redo, dump. They don't want to take the time or effort to with the science to figure out how to recharge that dye vat. So they want the perfect portions for the perfect color, for the perfect, and so we got to move away from that because that's obviously that's illegal in a lot of countries, but not all. And so that's what we're dealing with when you hear about the cheap manufacturing overseas is because they're allowed legally, there's no constraints for them to dump that dye out. And that's obviously, if you're connected as most, we have one ocean, not multiple oceans. It's all connected.
A
So,
part
yeah,
all of everything that exists. It's a food. It comes from all around the world, and we put it also then in our mouth.
yeah,
And our animals get sick, and we eat. If you do eat animals, they get sick. But I don't even want a
yeah,
bird to get sick. Yeah,
yeah.
that we have this harmony and love for each other, for ourselves, and I think that happens too. And back to your clothes before you share how people can watch your movie and get to see it and educate themselves and get a better understanding of um, how the industry works and how they can better the way they clothe themselves, or even maybe try out themselves and play with their children and dye
Mhm.
a few clothes as
Yeah.
well.
I think, that's a beautiful journey. I used to have a kids collection. I sold in Nordstrom's and I encourage, at that time you buy something new, give something old away. And now I'm encouraging to, yeah, go try and play with dyes. But I think what you look for as a mom and as a buyer, you look for natural fibers. So flax, linen, hemp, organic cotton. There's even some seaweed fabric being made. I'm not a fan of bamboo because of the kind of toxicity to make it into a fabric. So look for that undyed, because right now on a commercial level, nobody, even if they're saying water-based dyes or natural dyes, it's typically still has a lot of toxicity to it. It may have less of something, usually less metals. And then you can dye it yourself, and I think it's a beautiful thing with, especially with kids, you get it dirty and like, okay, I'm just gonna go dye it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it has two lives in it. I used to do reversible dresses for my daughter because she would get so dirty. And then when she got a teenager, I thought, oh, I'll make her her first hemp bra, and that wasn't cool. But apparently, it's not cool for single dads to make their daughters bras. But it was, once the kids learn what this fabric feels like on the body. That's why I was doing it. They will never put polyester on their body because it'll itch, it'll be dry. I've never had flaky white skin because I don't wear those chemicals on my skin. I
Beautiful.
don't really have to use moisturizer because of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like a prime example of what it could be like because I just haven't touched it or worn it in 20 plus years. The only time I touch it sometimes if I have to stay at a hotel, which I try to check, but a lot of hotels bleach out their sheets and use polyester, which is another thing I would advise everyone to do immediately is change your detergents. Seventh Generation's a good alternative. They're in pretty much around the world in a lot of stores. And then the sheeting. The sheeting is important. What you sleep in every night, 6 to 8 hours, when you're off gassing, those toxins, you can't wrap yourself up because, again, it acts like that bra would. It's non-permeable. It would keep the toxins in. It will add more into your skin. So you want to breathe at night, So sleep nude and sleep in natural sheets. That's another easy thing to do because there's enough companies out there starting to do it. And I'm teaming up with Aziom, Aziome, and they're actually a German company. The guy's super passionate. He started in the health industry, but he came to me because he couldn't figure out certain dynamics in the industry because they were still doing additives to the organic cotton that he was purchasing. And I tested it and he didn't know because the industry adds the additive even to natural fibers to keep it from mildewing, getting stains, etc.
Mm.
So now I'm helping him, and I think it's out this week, but we're using hemp now and other fibers without the additives with my dyes. And so that's going to be a really pure, clean alternative. But look for undyed sheets and make sure you check with them that they don't do an additive. And what it is, if you look at it, it looks like an oil slick. natural fibers shouldn't have any shine or oilness slick to it. It should be very just raw, um, feeling and looking, and that's how you can kind of tell. Because a lot of these companies don't disclose it, or they don't know. And in his case, he didn't know. He was buying from a textiler, and they didn't tell him.
Yeah,
So,
that's
anyways, a little bit of research for all the moms, but I think, there's enough out there to be able to replace some things at this point, and then hopefully
you
this
really
film.
have to look. I mean, luckily we're in Germany, you can find places, but it's hard to find, or let's say, organic clothing. You can start
Hmm.
on the internet more and more, but it's important
Yeah,
that you can try it on. Washing material is, we have a lot, also cleaning, and I also urge everyone just clean.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or with organic material, or we have a lot on the internet. I can see there's a push in that direction, so that's
yeah,
fascinating, and the stores more and more bring it.
yeah.
Yeah.
They will, they will. Yeah,
So
once the
Jeff,
demand,
but
cart before the horse. You have to create the demand, and then, you know, yeah,
and it's doable. If I just look about at the organic food, it started really, really slow, but now even other stores don't want to lose the customers to the organic food
exactly.
chains. So they start really bringing in here and there more. I wish one day there will be more, and it will. I'm a
It will.
positive person,
Yeah,
Jeff, because
it will.
people
Yeah.
like you, people like me, and there are many others that I've looked around, they want to start again the crafts. They know this way doesn't lead anywhere. I'm going to
Hmm.
say it goes
Yeah.
to, they feel isolated from the world,
Hmm.
even as you know, in your clothes, and everyone is searching to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most important. If you can get that over, or we to get that people will feel comfortable. They feel comfortable in what they put on. And
Hmm.
about the naked, I remember the healers in India always also walked around naked. Yeah, because they have
Yeah.
nothing to hide, and I think we have
Yeah.
to go also that direction, so
Yeah.
we can feel um, not self, but that you feel whole again. It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
important that we not don't feel ashamed about who we are,
Shame.
and that is all goes with it. And these clothes will support this, I believe, especially
Yeah.
your clothes.
Yeah.
So
It's
where,
like stripping down back to where we began. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So where can people find your movie that starts for Mother Day or a few days even earlier?
Yeah, so what we're doing, so I lost my mom to breast cancer, which kind of drove me to do this film because I was like, I know too much. I don't want any other mothers to suffer. So, despite all my advice from everyone else involved, I said, no, I'm going to gift it to moms. So, starting on Thursday, for 4 days, this American Mother's Day weekend, this weekend,
It's here
we're
also Mother's Day.
Okay, great. So the 8th through I think the 12th, where all they have to do is sign up with their email. They can stream it for free. It's planning to go to a distributor in September, so it'll be everywhere then. But I just couldn't wait. I think every
Yeah,
day
it's
counts.
important. Thank you.
And yeah, so that's my heart in it. And everyone in the industry's like, don't do it. I'm like, I'm doing it.
We have to
So
go our
it's
own
too important.
way, and you're doing that, and otherwise there is no change.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm hoping everyone gets fired up and inspired, and then when it releases in September, we can have a big community around it to drive the change and create policy changes, which we're already seeing. So, I don't want this to be a wave that just fizzles out after one wave. We need consistency, and the industry will know it can't wiggle around it anymore. It's
Yeah.
gotta convert. So, yeah.
I believe it will change. There is a movement of we cannot put anything under the rug anymore around
Mm-mm.
the world, and more, and clothing is what we wear every single day
Yeah,
and at night, and it's the biggest thing where we have impact for ourselves,
exactly.
for our
Yeah.
family, and for the world.
Yeah.
So that's why I love that. And you have this finesse about your clothes. that you create as an example for others to copy and feel inspired. So thank you for doing that for
Thank you.
us.
Yeah.
And for your time. Thank you. I know
Mhm.
it's busy because it's just shortly before the launch of your documentary, which already won many awards. I think 15, a few even here also in Germany and France
Yeah.
and many
Yeah.
countries. So keep your eyes on. Take the time to watch it now. And if not, go and watch it in September when it comes out. So thank you, Jeff, for being here to share your beautiful energy. I mean, everyone is just going to soak up your energy, and for believing in yourself and to walk and create what you think is right and that needs to be our everyday life, so we can be who we are, all of us. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Amazing. Thank you.
And everyone, bye bye. I'm Mylene, and take care of yourself. Play around. Use the dye. You can use your fruits and just maybe also paint on it. You know, I love to paint. And go into the garden and see what creates color when you cook it. Explore. There's so many plants and flowers that bring a color to your beautiful pieces that you are wearing. Goodbye, everyone. I'm Mylene of the Moon.